Hello, everybody. It's Austin Ward for Lettermen Row, back with another BuckIQ. We've got the former Ohio State big man Terence Dials in the building as the stretch run here for Big Ten hoops. And Ohio State picked up a big win, one that they couldn't afford to lose against Northwestern this week. And Terence, that keeps them right there in the mix here. The NCAA Tournament is in reach, and this is the time of year where every game matters.
Absolutely. It's going to be a scary stretch, though, because I think at the moment they're in now, they're probably going to have to win at least 3 or 4 more games to make sure that you're in that tournament seeding, that talk. So there's no time for, slip-ups here.
And we talked about this, sometimes you're not going to win them all in basketball. You know that. The Illinois one is costly. Might come back on Selection Sunday and think, what happened there?
Absolutely.
But you have opportunities, too, to flip that and get it back. And at Maryland is a big one. And it's going to take another big-time defensive performance, I imagine. They've seen this team before. And Ohio State, they kind of are what they are on offense. But defensively, they can neutralize that a little bit.
For the most part, for the most season, their defense has been okay. It's been holding them in games, even in games against teams that's probably much better than them.
Right.
That's how they've been able to stay in games, is their defense. Their offense is just obviously the side that's been letting them down throughout the season. So defensively, I think they've been doing a really good job. And against Northwestern, obviously they don't have the skill set as some other Big Ten teams, so that helps a lot.
You still have to go out there and execute right, and there were a lot of things that Ohio State could take from that, maybe apply it to Maryland in another performance. So TD's going to look at what Ohio State did so well on the defensive end right now. Let's roll the tape.
We've seen both defenses show doubles in the post, and here Wesson gets the steal. Bumped. Turner driving, a collision. They're going to call offensive.
Shows you how tough he is, because a lot of guys wouldn't be out there on the floor right now.
Absolutely. Benson battling, blocked. Wesson didn't even leave his feet. Gives it back to Benson. Here's Kopp. Kopp driving inside. Offensive foul.
All right, Terence, Chris Holtmann is never going to compromise on the defensive end, right? He's going to talk about it in every single game, but this was really a night where it felt like Ohio State's offense was struggling a little bit, but they got all their energy down here to effectively win a game, build a lead.
Well, good defense always leads to offense, especially when you get turnovers. Leads to easy offense, and obviously Northwestern is the most talented team, but I think it gave Ohio State a boost.
And this, you pointed this out to me earlier when we were talking about 5 guys moving, 5 guys all aggressively playing defense here, and then Caleb with those long arms, and he's aware down in the post.
Absolutely. When you get 5 guys moving on the string, and we say that in basketball terms, that means the ball move, everyone on the floor moves. That's good continuity on the defensive side, and everybody's talking, and obviously defense takes a lot of energy, and they're playing with the pep in their step tonight.
We'll talk about this more as this game went on, but Caleb, it's playing without fouling, right?
Yeah.
This is the key for him. He's got to get active, get the hands up, because he, on both ends, has to be involved for Ohio State to be at its best.
You can play good defense without fouling, but you always have to be active. Your feet have to be moving. Once you get kind of lazy on the defensive side is when you pick up dumb fouls.
Right, and this was an example here, too, of a guy that we've talked about before, Luther Muhammad, just very active hands and really making a name for himself on that end of the floor.
Well, this is what we expected when he came to Ohio State. The clips that I've seen of him in high school and from everything that I've read, he's a defensive stopper, and obviously we need plays like this from him for the rest of the season if we're going to be successful.
And get it down and get some offense going the other way. That's what you just talked about early on, offense leading to defense, and that helps spark to Ohio State. But it's you can't just stop, right? You have to be committed every single possession. An example for Dwayne Washington, who did this a couple times against Northwestern, getting his body in the right spot.
That's just moving your feet, knowing, and that's also scouting. The coaches do a great job of scouting. He's right hand dominant. You beat him to his strong hand, and good things happen.
He's a guy that it seemed like he went through a little bit of a rough patch where that freshman wall, to kind of borrow that cliche, but you made a good point. He seems to be fighting his way out of it with his defense because he wants to be a shooter. He's going to keep shooting. But again, you can't compromise. There's 2 ends of the floor.
We were always taught, especially myself growing up, was, defense leads to offense. And if you're struggling on the offensive side, play great defense, energize your team, and it's electric. It kind of passes off to every player on your team.
obviously pretty important too, because this score 10-8 late in the first half. This could have been ugly. The way Ohio State was playing on offense, if they didn't bring this defensive effort, they could be in problems. And the same thing was maybe true against Michigan State the week before.
Northwestern wants you to play that way because they don't have the players nor the skill to keep up with teams running up and down the floor. They want to slow the game down. Ohio State did a great job of speeding them up, but you only can speed them up with your defense, and I thought they did a great job of doing that.
Another example right here is what we were talking about. And this is something that kind of more in your area of expertise. The big man playing defense, move your feet, get your hands up, and don't foul. Like it's got to be the emphasis right now.
Obviously, that's been the emphasis for Caleb the whole season.
Right.
Obviously, he hasn't listened too well, but you can always be a great defender by anticipating. And then when you anticipate, you can get to the spots before your offensive player gets there, and that just comes with paying attention to the scouting report and being, obviously a savvy vet.
You've joked about him and the dunks on the other end. This is the second example just in this game where he's not the guy who's going to jump out of the gym, but he gets those long arms and that size up and gets a block.
When you're not athletic, like he's not, but he's very skilled, it's about positioning. You have to be in the right positions at all times. You don't really have that air, of what an athletic guy can make up for that, A
really solid game for Caleb Wesson, everybody involved for Ohio State there against Northwestern. It just really a solid five-guy fundamental defensive effort. This had to feel good for Chris Holtmann when he went home on Wednesday night.
I'm sure it did, but as a head coach, his job is never done, and I'm sure he's thinking about the next game now, and it's good for the guys to know that they can actually play at this level defensively and get wins.
That next chance is coming against Maryland on the road. It's no doubt a tough one for Ohio State. It's one that if they get that win, though, we can maybe stop talking about bubble entirely and start penciling in Ohio State for real for March. So Chris Holtmann will have that scheduled. He'll be looking for a defensive effort just like this, what they gave against Northwestern, a game that the Buckeyes couldn't afford to lose, and they got it done.
How about we wear these jerseys every game? You know what I mean? Throwback every game. It seems like they play well with these jerseys on.
Yeah, I know that somebody's looking for one of these versions right here. And maybe,
absolutely, throw a little Dials on the back, and then we're good to go.
There you go. We'll talk to Scooney about that. See if Terence can get one of those. Wear it in here for BuckIQ. TD's in here with us, breaking it down all year, Ohio State basketball. Terence, thanks for joining us. I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next time. Lettermen Row, BuckIQ.